And it is none other than the October 11th, and it is 2:02 in the afternoon, and this is a meeting of the U.S. National Grid Implementation Work Group. The agenda as published is the first half hour, keeping with the standard profile, is we're going to do administrative meeting updates from 2:31 to 2:58 exactly. We're going to do a priorities matrix review. Kind of have some interesting stuff there. And then finally, closing comments and reminder of the next meeting date. So here comes the administrative update and things of that nature. And I think, did I miss something? Roll call is being automatically collected off of the Zoom file. The recorder is on, so keep it to aw shucks on anything you want to contribute. And with that, I will gavel the meeting open. Do I have a motion to accept that? How about Mike? You come on, put the motion that the meeting's been called to order and we're underway.
All right, I'll second it.
Okay.
With the motion.
All right. And do we have a second? Going once, going twice.
This is Jen.
Hey, thanks, Jen. Appreciate it. So we're underway. Are there any changes to the agenda? Going once, going twice, gone. No changes to the agenda. Welcome. Are there amongst us anyone who's here for the first time? Let's see if I don't recognize the name out there. We can go ahead.
My name is Jeffrey Chen.
Jeffrey, thanks for joining us. And where are you joining us from?
I'm with Cobb County Parks.
Ah, cool. Yep. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yo, are you working yet? Does it work? Going once, going twice, gone. And let's see if there's anybody else on here. Carolyn.
Hi, Caroline Johnston. Hi, I also work with Cobb County Parks. I work with Jeff.
Okay,
so David
cool.
Blashy invited us to the meeting.
Yeah, thank you so much for making it. Really appreciate it. Okay, with that, we will press on. Reports from the board of directors. The last board of directors meeting was held on September 12th. We're starting to get into, as emergency responders would call it, a battle routine where we're in a standardized profile where the board is now going to meet every quarter. That's at 1 month prior to this implementation work group meeting. And then, as I've indicated, the implementation work group meeting will follow the succeeding month. And so our next board meeting will be in December, followed by the IWG happening in January. That puts us back on the original profile for the arrangement for these meetings. So all a good thing. Takes us down to, I've been beat up by the board, and I realize I've been trying to pound a square peg into a round hole, and the concept of committees maybe not such a good idea. Instead, we're gonna change the approach to be, as we wander into this priorities list, projects that have been identified by the group as being important for the effort to proceed forward. And within that project approach, the willingness of individuals to volunteer to serve as the champion of that particular project. But to confuse things even a little bit more, they'll be generally slotted along lines of what would be normally associated with a committee, but there isn't going to be a committee chair, things of that nature. So we're going to work the effort going forward first as projects, and then we'll look at maybe further on down the line, a couple of years from now, if things mature, maybe actually moving into committees. Promotional items, as briefed, to the board of directors. The promotional items are in fact starting to filter over to our website. We'll take a look at that in a little bit further on down the briefing. USNGI net, also I'll brief that a little bit further. There's slides that'll show you what that beast is going to look like. And then this priority thing, which we will beat up for 30 minutes at the end of today's event. Secretary report, Randy Knipple would be telling you that our next get together is going to be Tuesday, December 12th at 11 a.m. for the board of directors. During that board meeting, the board will officially hold its first board 3-year term rotation vote. The 3 people that would be up would be Randy Knipple, Mary Susan Knaus, and Al Studd. If there's anyone else out there that would be interested in running for one of the positions on the board, please send me an email at chair@usngi.org. The intent here is it's a 9-person board, and we are rotating 3 people every 3 years. So there will be continuity over time as things go forward. The next meeting of this group will be Wednesday, January 24th at 2 p.m. And within a couple of days after this meeting, you will in fact receive a Zoom calendar announcement, so you can put that rascal into your calendar. BJ Kolstead is out globetrotting right now. She has sent over that within our piggy bank, there's $759.53, and we've got no debt and no outstanding bills. So it's a nice place to be, debt free. Okay. Reports admin. So what will follow basically is 5 sort of structural kinds of things that we're doing. And so here's the updates. IW stands for in work. That belongs to me. Migration of files, getting things cleaned up. In terms of final organization of the organization before we press out and start being a little bit more aggressive in some of our areas and efforts. Starting next year, it's underway. Communications. Contact database, the listing up there at the top tells you generally the kind of areas that we consider projects that fall in this area would be slotted in under the umbrella of communications. So here are the updates. In work right now, press release, expected first quarter, which basically will be our coming out as an official organization. I've got contacts to the various GIS publications that are online, and we'll see to it that an announcement gets published there. Hopefully we'll pick up a few more folks after something like that takes place. Implementation work, the LinkedIn is really what I wanted to say there. That's also in work, and that should be up here shortly. That takes us to communications scoreboard. And then I've got some slides here. We'll take a look at website realignments, so folks know what's going on with that. Everybody starts somewhere. So here's the report, the communications scoreboard. Currently, I feel like we're in really good shape in terms of the scrub on the database. We've got 161 people, and they're broken out roughly by, there's only 9 members of the board of directors, but in total, there's a count of 12 there. It's kind of a weird one because it also goes to things like secretary at USNGI.org. We have a bench of 41 and observers of 108, total 161. And you can see over here, MailChimp, our penetration with that in terms of getting it out and making sure that it is properly distributed. We hit the people we want to, things of that nature. We've wandered up from 90, call it 91%, up to 99.5%. And any of you that fiddle around with MailChimp knows, hey, we're doing good there as far as getting that rolling along. Interestingly enough, I thought you'd be enthused to find out that we only had one bounce, but more importantly, one person opted out. Why would you want to know that one person opted out? Because interestingly, it happens to be the chairman of the board of directors of the NAPSG Foundation. Isn't that interesting? Not interested anymore is how the tag came back. Thanks, NAPSG. Okay, so over to we can take a quick look at the website hits. As you can tell, we've gone from nothing to gone to something. It's not a lot yet, but it's building. YouTube recently put up, and here's an easy way for you to participate in supporting the USNG Institute by signing up for YouTube as a subscriber or signing up for Facebook as a subscriber. Everybody starts somewhere. So that's where our organization is right now on sort of getting that piece of social media running along. And LinkedIn is coming soon. So that will be the core of what we'll be doing for our social media enablement. Okay. Then it takes us over to website developments. I know you're all really excited about this because here we go, because there are some exciting developments. Here it is. The board basically has agreed with the concept of that what's happening is shared geo will be migrating stuff over time, and it will be all, if you will, under the purview of the Institute. We've got the Grid Institute website itself, which is intended to serve as promotion and outreach. We have the Information Center, which will be transitioning to technical and training only, and then USNG products down there at the US National Grid store. But here's what's going on. The promotional stuff that I mentioned earlier, if you wander in there and take a look, we are gradually moving in there. Different items that can be downloaded, made available, backdrops, whatever, Uncle Sam poster. So basically, you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is download it and then use it for your local, personal, promotional reasons, whatever they may be. You're going to a conference, you want to set up a table, whatever. So that's available on the front side. And I am disastrous at clicking too many things at once. But the website backside, which will be for the board of directors, and if I get hit by a truck, everything doesn't disappear. Through the login, there will be a password to get to the backside. And back there, what will be hosted back there will be if you will, all the accounts that the Institute, in fact, has control over, our bank account, a Zoom account, website hosting, things of that nature. And then things that make the Institute run, IT elements of it. And then there will be project folders for archiving finished projects as appropriate of the Institute. And so, or I should say of the work groups. And so the idea is that, Jen and I could be off working on a project, without having to need to use any of the facilities of the Institute. And when we have a finished product, the idea will be to archive it in one of these folders so that I get hit by a truck, it doesn't disappear. And I'll be doing the same thing with building folders for all the PowerPoint slides, board of director slides, so on and so forth. So you get the idea. That's where all of that stuff's going to be hosted to give us an approach for continuity. Okay, then it comes down to the center. Technical and training. The domains right now are being moved into the USNGI account so that the Institute effectively will be, on the hook for making sure that the Information Center is kept up to date and things of that nature. Currently in discussions with the developer to transition to the website. Plan will be after they finish the conversion, I'm going to go through and do an initial edit, and then I'll just throw the doors open and say, go take a look at it. Tell us what you want changed or whatever. What I think some people on this phone or this call will be interested in finding out is that are much in need of a fix. Grid Store has reached the point where the Shared Geo Board of Directors has voted to fund a complete rebuild of it, move it out of Big Commerce and move it over to a firm parading as though they're from LA, but they're really in India, is going to do a conversion to make it into a WordPress site and facilitate a WooCommerce conversion of the store itself. And what that gets us to is on Big Commerce, the editing was incredibly clunky and bad. And there are just a lot of problems over there. And hopefully we get to an implementation that has a good, modern, solid feel to it, is up on a SSL, so there isn't warnings that you're wandering into some place where Steve Swazee is going to steal all your data, things of that nature. And again, properly displays items so people understand what's available to support Elm implementation in the area. So I'm jazzed beyond words that the board voted to do that and move that process forward. So good things happening in that regard. I need to jump back. Before I leave that topic and while I'm thinking about it, Dave, I think I saw you're on the call. I assume that either Jesse has received them or will receive them within a very short period of time. There are 6 ELM vertical stickers that were produced by Vulcan when I continue to run into problems with a vendor up here in Minnesota. So Dave, do you know if they've come in yet or not?
I talked to Jesse last week. He didn't have them, but I meet with him again. We're mapping again next week. So I will ask him then.
Okay, I got the bill this morning, so they produced them. So I would think you'll see him shortly. And again, many apologies about how long it took for that to get cranked out to you, but I've had a vendor that's gone crazy on me thinking that they can do something that takes 8 months. No, that doesn't work.
Well, the only worry with me with that is they produced all the other signs and we have a ton of signs. So if we have a warranty issue, it's just a turnaround on something like that that's a little concerning.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Yeah, no. But I can go stand on the owner's chest if I have to. But,
well, I appreciate you getting these ones to us. We'll get them up as soon as we get them in.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Project area reports, like I told you, project areas versus committees. Updates. We're looking for webinar presenters. If you've got a topic related to US National Grid that you would be willing to give a presentation on, shoot me an email at chair@usngi.org. I'll do all the organization, the advertising, and whatnot. No progress. Maps the USNG site. Jennifer, I put you on a report. You and I at the end of the last meeting said we were going to work on that. And it sounds like you got your hands full. I got my hands full. So we'll just continue to march forward and at some point figure out how to make that happen.
Yeah,
Hey,
don't
Steve, I'm
count
sorry.
me out. I'll definitely still help.
Yeah.
We've just been a little busy. But yes,
No,
I'm still on board.
Yeah,
For
I hear
sure.
you. I hear you loud and clear. You're here. Thank you. Yeah, no problem.
Hey, Steve, back up real quick. When is the webinar?
There isn't a webinar. The point was, I'm looking for presenters. If you'd be willing to present on a USNG topic, we'll do all the legwork to make the webinar work. All you have to do is show up and present. Yeah. So there you go. In work, outreach brochure. I found an old one for Minnesota generically about US National Grid, and also the generic Elm brochure, and I've sent those off. Bernard Catleonato and myself are working that one, so hopefully we'll soon have a generalized US National Grid outreach brochure. Project area reports technical. No progress on the national map uploader. That's a Knipple Swazee deal. And no progress on the update USNG map production guides Knipple. So I'm trying to hold us responsible to projects that are out there and folks that are talking about that they're going to make things happen. So that's the idea. Project area reports training. There are no current items in this work area. That takes us down to old business. All right. So when we started the year, this was the 1-year vision. And I continue to show this slide, and effectively we're on target to get everything wrapped up. I showed you the work site back login thing. Functioning organization, we've got ourselves on schedule for routine quarterly meetings and positioning ourselves to run operationally going forward, and consistent look and feel professionalization of the organization. So all of those are being positioned with one exception, and that was to try to create a rep for each FEMA region, and that topic will come up as a beat the table deal when the board of directors meets in December. So hopefully we can call ourselves with a completed list at the end of the year, but we won't fake it. So again, the intent is this year has been about building the organization so that when we start thumping our chest, there's actually something for people to look at. There you go. New business. The floor is open to new business. Al, are you with us? Going once, going twice. And apparently he's not with us. So here's the background. Al, who's part of the task force in Florida, stumbled into a briefing for the latest hurricane event and got upset by the fact that despite the directive that USNG would be used on FEMA related products, the briefing maps in the FEMA Center had none of the sorts of things you would associate with a USNG map, like gridding. And so he spooled some stuff up, and the idea here is we're trying to work through to make sure that we start delivering the message in an effective way. And we hope that going forward, it's not an issue anymore. So,
Steve, I can give you.
You got
It's
2
cool.
minutes. You got 2 minutes.
All right. So I've been working with Paul Daugherty. They have been updating all of their maps, especially briefing maps, with a combined U.S. National Grid grid around it, along with a longitude, latitude in the proper coordinate format, which is degrees, decimal, minutes. He's looked at the two ArcGIS Pro templates that I provided him. He's also making sure that at least there is a grid. FEMA has indicated that that is their language of location is U.S. National Grid, and it will be in every object. There's we've looked at some of the portable mobile devices, things as quick capture and everything else. Behind it is U.S. National Grid. Each location will have a U.S. National Grid and a longitude latitude format throughout. So I'm working closely with him and NAPSEG, and NAPSEG is still a believer in U.S. National Grid, and that is their they're still there. So I don't want, people thinking that they're not. They are. They do believe in it. It is their location language. There have been some briefing maps that came out that were looking at a large territory just to say, hey, down here in the South and that, but they weren't a product given out. If someone comes up in an incident management team and talks to one of their GIS people and say, hey, can I get a gridded map with US National Grid? They'll be able to hit a button and print you a map. At that situation that Al was involved in, apparently it wasn't available, and all he had to do was ask and they would have had it available. So that's where we are.
Thank you, Cole. So Cole, why don't you introduce yourself? Because you have such a rich background. Just go ahead and fill folks in.
Yeah, my name's Cole Brown. I'm with Maryland State Police. I'm the Special Operations Search Coordinator for the state of Maryland. I've also been involved in my fire company. I'm with Hampstead Fire Company. All our fire maps have been converted into the same template as US National Grid, and longitude, latitude in the correct format of decimal minutes. We basically, I've sat on many committees on the aspect of GIS with the National Search and Rescue Committee and putting stuff together, especially after our incident with Trooper 2 incident, where we had people who communicated longitude, latitude with seconds as 2-digit numbers without saying what it was. It got converted and sent a search 30 nautical miles off in the wrong direction. Once I started raising the concern back in the 2008 timeframe, we found out that there was other people having the same issues. And so we made sure that there was standards in regard to communicating longitude, latitude, and then effectively using US National Grid as a product. So in the catastrophic addendum for search and rescue, in the US Coast Guard addendum, and as well as the Land SAR addendum for search and rescue in the country, it specifically says the use of US National Grid and longitude and latitude. It also went up to Germany to the International Search and Rescue Committee. And there, the Joint SAR Committee proved that coordinate, because I have that document, because I realized that when someone asks you for, hey, give me the language that you want, and I sit there and I quickly did it based on where I was living. And so in the international document is the coordinates to my house. So hopefully it's still standing.
All right.
We'll
Thank you,
go from
Cole.
there. Thank you.
Appreciate it. So Cole's a duty expert. He likes to talk. So we're good. We got
Hey, this is Jules. Can I say something real quick? I know I'm going to blow your timeline though, but
go for it.
But having a guy like Cole on here who's engaged in the operations, he may appreciate this this issue, because I get frustrated, I get concerned when people give out. I shouldn't say people. When we have to give out grids without preferences, if you will, and to say you can use the US National Grid or you can use lat long in this particular format, but there's no differentiation between which one you would be preferred, and frankly, in my view, because there is a lot of times confusion with lat long that causes problems. And so if there was a way we could direct people to say the US National Grid is the preferred grid for geo-addressing for these types of situations, it would be great. And the reason I say that is because through much effort and pain and agony, I was able to get the DoD to do that. Because back when we were sending troops into, we were sending units into Baghdad, this exact issue came up because the aircraft were using round earth coordinates, which I call lat long, which I call round earth coordinates. And the guys on the ground were using military grid reference system. And there was confusion in identifying targets and danger close weapons delivery situations where people had to actually sit down and calculate an MGRS value from a lat long from a pilot, and there was a lot of friction in just in dealing with that, and over time, and fortunately, the commander of the tank force that went into Baghdad came back to the Joint Staff in a capacity a few months later, and I was able to engage him and convince the people in the Joint Staff geodesy community that that was not a good situation. And so as a result, for the last several editions of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff instruction on geo coordinates, I don't remember exactly what the title is, but they in fact state that MGRS is the preferred or is to be used when servicing tactical forces in ground
Yes.
situations, and that's exactly for that reason, because there was too much confusion between even a consistent lat long and MGRS. And it also mentions, by the way, that U.S. National Grid is to be used for coordination with civil authorities. So sorry for taking all that time. But
no, we have that document of the Joint Chiefs of Staff where they approved that. I know that because we had our counterparts at the Air Force, along with DoD personnel, who pushed back to get that implemented in the 2008-2009 timeframe. So we know that, we appreciate your support, but it's in place and we're rock and rolling with it.
But if
thank you.
But now we still say, well, you can use the grid or you can use lat long, without saying which one should be preferred.
Well, and I think that's why we're putting dual. You'll find is a lot of places have dual display on their devices. They also are making sure that there's dual grids on a template so that you can see the same aspect of around the side on that same grid. So you can inadvertently go back and forth between the two with no issues.
All right. Thank you. And back to you, Steve.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Okay. This next thing, U.S. Census Bureau. I was hoping Dennis Reed would be here today. Here's just a quick backdrop on it. Dennis is in the statistics section in the state of California, and they received an inquiry about how to think about if there were methods out there which could bring better granularity to the Census Bureau data. And one of the options that was available to vote for or put in comment on was U.S. National Grid. So hopefully there's been several folks meet on this topic, and we'll see what emerges out of those efforts. Okay, that's that one. That takes us down to comments, announcements, other business. Are there any other comments from the floor, announcements from the floor, or other business? Going once, going twice, gone. Oh man, I don't know about this setup on this computer. Here we go. That takes us down to adjournment. Our end time for this meeting, I'm scribbling it down as 2:38. And so our next meeting date and time will be Wednesday, January 24th at 2 p.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Come on, Mike Court. Yeah, you can do it.
I'll second Mike's.
All
Sorry.
right.
Mute. I'll motion to adjourn.
All right. Followed
And
by
Cole
Cole.
seconding.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody opposed? Going once, going twice, gone. The administrative meeting is closed. Thank you, everyone, which moves us into our priorities matrix discussion. So I provided you in the link for the update for this meeting, reminder, if you will, that there was a priorities matrix that was put together based on all of the stuff that had been previously identified by old meetings, that go all the way back to literally 2013 time frame, I think, is the first time I went down to Fire East with Al Studd. And anyway, we started keeping a tickler of what things could we be doing to improve the promotion and outreach for US National Grid. And from that list, I added to it other ideas that have been popping up during our meetings here. And that was followed by sending it out to the board of directors and asking them, do some homework. Would you do some homework, please? They said, school's out forever. Very naughty. So here's what I got for feedback. I'm going to have to jump out of this thing for a second and jump over to a spreadsheet. And I think I'm wildly going to assume you can see that. Is that in fact correct? Somebody tell me yes, no.
You see it.
Okay. So here are the ideas that were put up. And what's interesting about this, I think, down the left-hand side, you can see potential projects. And there are 34 of them. And 3 of us voted on what we thought were the top priorities. So 1/3 of the board came back with their ideas. And then what I've done is I've done an inverse total to try to find out what projects rated the highest. So that gives us a sense of the projects that are up there, what was considered to be the most important. And then I'm stealing this from a process that I've seen another group do, and I think it's pretty effective because what it does is it says, okay, well, you can dream up all kinds of great projects, but remember, once again, we're using a projects report approach to replace the idea of a committee. So the project can be out there and be run by 1 or a couple of people or 3 or whatever, depending on how many people come forward. So the first question you got to ask, does a project have an owner? And if a project has an owner, then you've got something that is actually can be held accountable. And does it get to the point where you actually need a work team? And if you do have a work team, does it exist? And is money required to make this project work? Is money available? Thinking about the project itself, how difficult is it to do it? But what's the value of it? So like you could have a project that's incredibly easy to do, but if it has marginal value, you're wasting your time on it. So anyway, what I think is, I've got 5 bullet points for you to ponder, and then I'll ask some questions. So the 3 of us here looking at this thing, none of us could agree literally on what were our priorities, which again drives the idea that if you think something's a priority, you're more likely to work on it. So if you break down into smaller project teams, your ability to actually make something happen probably goes up. If a project doesn't have a rating, does that mean it goes away? No. It means that if somebody is still vested enough to do something, maps on the USNGI site doesn't necessarily have to be a priority. It still can be a project for, in this case, Jennifer and myself. I'm all in on it. Yeah, absolutely. Our USNG site should relate something about grids and maps, and it doesn't right now. So that needs to be fixed. I've already beat up the idea about a project's not worth anything, in the sense that it can have a high value, but if nobody's willing to step up to the plate, well, then, what do we think that's worth? I will post this in a work area where everybody can see it somewhere on a website, and think about it and ponder whether or not you want to get involved in doing anything. And then just because you've got an easy factor on something, again, doesn't necessarily mean. So I've got this LinkedIn thing here as an example. It's in here somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and do that anyway, even though nobody voted for it, because it's so easy to do, but it's got a upside value to it. And that'll finish that one off. But anyway, I'm just going to ask now, did anybody else bother to look at this prior to the meeting today? I got Mike Kors nodding his head. Anybody else?
I did too, but now you've rearranged it, so I can't.
You can't follow where it is?
I made a bunch of notes on the old one, but that's all right. They're just in different places on the new one. That's fine.
Yeah.
Steve, I'll be humble. This is Cole. No, I did not look at it prior to this.
Well, you don't have to put yourself on report. I was just asking who else looked at it. Okay. So as it sits right now, the number one thing is to finish the USNG. I'm gonna brief the top 5, and then let's open the door and see what other thoughts are out there. Rework of the USNG Center, finish the map uploader, finish the ELM production guide, and develop professional administrative correspondence and standards. How does that rank with?
Uh-oh, Steve is frozen up there. Can anyone else hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Steve's definitely frozen.
Who froze him in time?
It's nice when the professor goes away right before you get the homework.
I think where he was going with that, just to continue on until he hops back on, was those top 5 items. Does anybody disagree that we don't need to deal with that? I think that's where he was going to go with that.
Well, this is Jules. I agree. I think we need to do those things. We need to have those things in place. But the real thing, it seems that there's a common thread through several of these things, and it has to do with outreach. It has to do with, and in order to do effective outreach, you have to have the things that you're talking about in place: the website, the products, the places that people can go to see what it's all about and to use it. But then equally important is the outreach to the influential organizations and those who should be using this, who might be the CERT people, who are, actually sort of a subordinate to FEMA. You would think FEMA could flow this down to the CERT organizations across the country and make them aware of it. But again, it would be important to have this center of information that we can send people to.
Right. I mean, one of the things and I don't know, about a booth. I don't know about different things, but I attend the Fed user conference at Esri in DC here. And then the Inspire conference by NAPSAG should be another one. And I don't know if it's something to where we start having a booth because, there's other competitors out there, which is What Three Words and some of these other places that are pushing their agendas, but we're not there saying, hey, does that correlate with this or US National Grid and et cetera? So I think the other thing is getting us at these different events.
No, that's a good point. And
Out of sight, out of mind, insight, you're always on their topic.
yeah, it has to do with marketing. I mean, we have a wonderful product that's widely accepted in certain areas, but it needs to be advertised and the information put out there. You mentioned What Three Words, which, God, it's a cute but completely useless geo-addressing capability, in my view. And and yet companies like Rapid SOS, who sell geo-addressing for emergency response as part of their portfolio.
I know.
When I ask them about it, I said, "Why are you using this What Three Words thing that frankly is not useful for this purpose, and you're not using the U.S. National Grid, which is readily available to you, and you could." And they say, "Oh, we'll get back to you on that." And well, of course, they never do, and they continue to market these capabilities throughout, as far as I know, the Mid-Atlantic region certainly.
Oh yeah,
and
I'm dealing with it all the time, and it's amazing. I walked up and I handed a guy a map and said, "Hey, tell me where the grid is for What Three Words is on this map." And he goes, "Well, I don't know. It's random." And I'm like,
yes.
"My point exactly. You can't hand out a map with that." I said, now here's the coordinates. So the other thing is What Three Words has added, and this is another thing, has added Latin long as a display feature. But what we need to do is get them to add US National Grid as a display feature also. So I pushed out and pushed that agenda. So, hey, Mike, did you check to see if Steve is alive?
I can send him an email.
Send him a quick one and said, hey, we're still all here waiting for you to come back in.
And that, I'm not sure What Three Words, benefits from tremendous marketing. I guess they got some investors to throw a lot of money their way, which they put toward marketing. But I've also heard somewhere, I don't know where I saw it, that they're losing money hand over fist. So
it's on Wikipedia has it out there. There's other ones that they keep trying to get, and Rapid SOS is a funder to them. So you're correct. It's a sole source. It is dependent on the company. If the company goes, the program goes. And that's what's nice about US National Grid is nobody owns it.
Right.
Nobody owns longitude, latitude, and they're interchangeable based on the world. And it's not going away. It's just this fancy way that these kids, I hate to say it because that's what it is. It's not an appropriate tool. So
it's just a cute boutique thing that
it is. It's a fad. It's a fad. It will go away. And what will stand is US National Grid and that long.
And so then back to the other point is on this spreadsheet Steve sent out before. For example, he says establish a liaison with CERT, establish liaison with Team Rubicon. Well, both of those things, it seems to me, are directly linked to FEMA. And somewhere in FEMA, there ought to be a way we can flow down their directive information to these organizations that either are part of them or that work with them, which I assume Team Rubicon does.
Yeah, and I think that you were talking about that is that the outreach is, I sit on the National Search and Rescue Committee, which oversees it. The question is they do have a big arm They represent all the federal agencies, but I think that us staying in touch with Paul Daugherty, Jared Doak at FEMA is a good priority here of making sure that we communicate with them routinely.
Oh, and since you mentioned the NSARC, what'll it take to get the Coast Guard in line? I mean, that's a.
I know.
I've sort of given up.
So
I mean, years ago.
Jules, where are you based? Jules, where are you based out of? And
Well, I'm in Virginia and I work for the DoD. I'm a contractor though, but
okay,
but yeah, and I've been doing the grid for a long time, and
right,
and trying to get after the hurricanes down in the Gulf a couple of years ago to when the Coast Guard was flying helicopters around looking at rooftops, trying to get them to adopt the grid.
yes.
They were just clueless. They said, well, we don't know how to come back to a place that we identified before. And geez, I mean, so frustrating because they're part of that organization, I think.
Yep. Well, they are on there, but again, it's different organization. But
Yep.
in their addendums, it does say that, and now they're finding that they got dual displays, so it's working a little bit better. So
good.
So, Mike, any info?
No, I sent him an email, but I have not gotten a response yet. I sent it both to his shared geo and to his Gmail, so it should have gone through his phone, you would think. So I'm not sure what happened to him.
Yeah, stand by. Let me see if I can call him real quick.
Well, at least we got a chance to talk about the spreadsheet, which has a lot of good projects on it, and I think Steve is certainly going down the right path to get some things in place that will be useful as we talk about how we do some of these other things. So, I mean, we're going to be out of time here pretty quick, but I think this is a good way to sort of start this discussion and dig into the spreadsheet a little further going forward and see if there's things we can do. I know there's some other folks who didn't make the call. Tom Terry's comes to mind. He's written a lot of course material about the U.S. National Grid, which might be applicable. He did it many years ago, but it's still relevant, certainly.
Yes. Well, the system has changed. Mike, I tried to get a hold of him, and it goes right to voicemail.
Oh no, that's really weird.
Well, that's one of the things we talk about, the updating the website is I gave Steve copies of all of the correspondence where FEMA endorsed U.S. National Grid, all of the documents from different agencies, the joint working group for search and rescue on an international basis, along with the search and rescue addendums and stuff like that show U.S. National Grid, but putting all them on the website so that people click and go, well, geez, why aren't we using this system? I think that's part of the education that needs to happen is getting that up on the website to show what's happening is critical. And then putting, templates out there that are for ArcGIS Pro, because it's on there. I mean, you just go up and go U.S. National Grid, boom, plop, and the grid's in there. You just got to manipulate it a little bit and set it up. So, Talbot Brooks is the one who started me on that and had that. So, I think that having those templates that go into the website and it says here are gridded templates, you can put this in here and put the wording in. Having that available is also helpful to consumers out there that are trying to look at it. But having us be the preferred place, hey, if you need something, go here. But I think attending some of these conferences and having a booth and then someone doing the ELMs as well as providing the information out, just saying, hey, here's this information. What are you guys here for? Just to share with you US National Grid, and also share with you how the US National Grid can relate to longitude, latitude, and how it goes back and forth. Because that's how I teach it. As I was telling Steve, I teach, here's longitude, latitude. Everybody got that? Good. Now, with this many degrees over, you get this and this and this and this and this. Oh, so they're interrelated. Yep. One can't live without the other. Come on, Steve. The impromptu, step up and start talking and share something.
Yeah, by the way, I also sent a query to one of my contacts in the Department of Transportation to see if I could find somebody in Federal Highways we could talk to about ELM markers. I don't know if that's, I don't know if you know of anybody in highways, but somehow we, I mean, again, it's a standard that would be very helpful and useful, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
So Steve's matrix there did prompt some action anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure if our homework is going to be then to go and vote on the items that they've singled out as the most important, or to vote on the entire list ourselves, or how we're going to use this information moving forward. Definitely agree that we need a lot of those. But Steve's been doing great with the website and everything. In academia, we've got a paper coming up for publication that used the grid, but we haven't really highlighted the use in the paper as much as we could have. We may go back and revise that, but speaking on another note, the templates that you were talking about, they're out there, as well as we have very accurate versions made for the Southeast that we use for some of our apps, ranging from about 10,000 kilometers down to 100 meters, and they're all very accurate with no overlay distortions or anything. We just need a place for those to live, and they can all be there.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mike, is that I think that getting that information out there, and then all of a sudden, you know, each of us having something, we end up saying, oh, go here, go here, go here. And people start visiting and they're like, well, what's this other stuff? You know, oh, you can do markers like that. Oh, that's kind of cool. So that works out.
Yeah, I'm going to have to bail, but
yeah, me too.
I guess one of the things, what I'll do is I'll put some of the comments together that I noted on the spreadsheet and send them to Steve to look at, and then he can, and if everybody does that or whatever, he can assimilate those and then see what he wants to do with it going forward. We can talk about it again next time.
Yeah, I certainly think that there would be value in us all helping and participating in the spreadsheet and sharing our comments about the line items, even if we've kind of moved past that. It may be helpful for Steve and the rest of us for planning what we're going to do next. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll motion to adjourn the meeting since Steve's not here and it's almost 5 minutes past 4, and I know everyone's stuff to do. We all have responsibility.
Mike, I'll second that, and we'll advise Steve so you can put it in the notes.
Yeah, sounds good. And just a reminder, please take a look at the spreadsheet before our next meeting, I guess in December.
Sounds good.
Good talking with everybody. Thank you.
Have a good day.
See ya. Thank you.